everyone. This is the last election under the first past the post system in Canada. Yeah, that was Justin Trudeau making another promise to the Canadian people, which no doubt was one of the main reasons why he secured that win and formed the majority in 2015 in Canada. Well, that and the promise to legalize pot, which, once again, that's another file that has proven to be a complete farce and has actually caused more harm and a ramp up and escalation of criminal charges and convictions. And now actually articles are coming out on a regular and continued basis showing where it's actually causing more harm than good for the Canadian cannabis consumer or cultivator. Headline out of CBC News, Politics, Analysis, why Trudeau's broken electoral reform promise could rebound back on him. In a minority parliament, he could find himself painted into a corner. This being reported by Aaron Wary, July 26, 2019. 4 years after he made it, Justin Trudeau's promise of electoral reform haunts him still. But while reform is a nagging headache for Trudeau, it is still the dream of proportional representation's advocates, including Jagmeet Singh's New Democrats. Even if it's rather unclear how any leader could now promise to move forward with this sort of change that Trudeau rejected. Well, it's pretty simple. Proportional representation would actually allow all Canadians to have a voice, or a representative, or someone who represents their voice out there. Whereas today, you don't get any voice, especially if you don't support any of the ruling establishment in this country. If you don't represent or support any of the ruling establishment, you'll never have any say. You'll never have a voice. That's why Canadians were on board and supporting proportional representation and ending the first past the post system in this country. Even if they only get one or two people who are vocal proponents of their voice or their political perspectives, at the very least, Canadians were on board at least saying, hey, at least I got someone in there. I might not have someone who's forming a majority, but at least there's going to be someone in Ottawa representing my voice or my political opinions or perspectives. And of course, that should be the case in this country. Of course, the will of the people, whether they're a majority or a minority, should be represented on the political stage. While the greater question of whether Trudeau has lived up to his promises is at least debatable, when it comes to electoral reform, the answer is fairly straightforward. Yeah, a big ol' no. In June 2015, Trudeau vowed that the federal election of that year would be the last conducted under the first past the post system. In February 2017, as Prime Minister, he decided to walk away from that commitment. Yeah, because he knew that the Liberals would probably never be able to form a majority ever again, or at the very least, they'd actually have to contend with those who really challenge them, unlike those who represent the ruling establishment in the NDP or the Conservatives, which they just banter back and forth. I mean, it's just minor bickering as far as that goes. But yeah, if you actually had direct proportional representation, yeah, that'd be a scenario where you would actually have people truly challenging the ruling establishment and showing Canadians a completely different perspective than what they're currently used to. And as the federal Liberals and the other two established parties in this country have shown time and time again, they're scared of real competition, which is why they all basically align and are hard to discern the difference between them at this point. They're all circling the drain and going further and further down with each cycle. Whatever the merits of the decision, Trudeau had misgivings about the ramifications of moving towards proportional representation and feared that a national referendum would be divisive. The Canadians are already divided. Making that publicly known would just destroy the credibility and the rhetoric espoused by the ruling establishment, in particular the federal Liberals in this country. That's why they don't want to do it. They don't want reality to unfold. They don't want to pull the blinds back and expose the genuine reality in this country. Electoral reform is easily classified as a broken promise, an example readily available whenever a critic or political rival wants to assess the Trudeau government's 4 years in office. Regardless of how many or few Canadians were eager to see the electoral system changed, that abandoned commitment has become a totem for the argument that Trudeau has failed to live up to expectations. Anyways, folks, I'll place a link to this article in the description of the video below. But yeah, once again, I wasn't really thinking about that currently, but yeah, since I seen this article come out from the CBC, I thought, yeah, let's just point out, let's make a video about the fact that yes, that was just one more promise that Trudeau made to the Canadian people, which, like I say, that was a big promise. One of the major reasons why his party, the federal Liberals, were elected in 2015, that, yeah, he broke, not only did he break it, I mean, you've probably seen the videos and the articles. He basically said, oh, we can't have that. What do you want, a party of the Kelly Leeches in this country? Do you want actual people that are in opposition to the rule of establishment to actually have a voice out there? Is basically what he was saying, right? Can't allow that now, can we? Now we got to keep Canadians confined to a narrow bound of political thinking in this country. Now, don't we, Trudeau? Yeah, nah. It's not going to work. Like I say, your games aren't working. You not see that? Well, you will come this October. I assure you that. Because if you actually form a majority government in this country, well, it'll send me a big old clear message. I suppose that'll be something I'll have to reflect on. But I'm not really a betting man, but I'd wager that one. I'm fairly certain that there can't be any possible way that the federal Liberals can form a majority government after October. And if that is the case, then Canada's in a whole lot more trouble than I even suspect. And I already suspect Canada's in a whole lot of trouble. So, yeah, like I say, I still like to keep my hopes up and be positive and optimistic about the fact that I think most Canadians, at least the ones that are properly informed, will give the federal Liberals the boot, regardless of which way they go or which party they align with after this October election. Surely Canadians are sick and fed up with that kind of identity politics and divisiveness that continues to add and contribute to the further demise of this country. Or at least I surely hope so. It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.